Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hollywood Lot Life, where we explore the ins and outs of the elusive entertainment industry. If you've ever dreamed of working in Hollywood or making it as a studio executive, then this is the podcast for you. This show is brought to you both on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you for listening today, and welcome to the show. Today we have a super interesting guest that works for Amazon Studios. And before we get into talking with her, we're going to, learn a bit of some fun facts about Amazon Studios as a whole. Amazon Studios was founded in 2010 as a division of Amazon.com, and its first major original series, Alpha House, premiered in 2013. Amazon Studios has won 10 Oscars to date. Amazon Studios is headquartered in Culver City, California, but also has offices in Seattle, London, and Mumbai. Today we're speaking to Candy, who is a marketing strategy manager at Amazon Studios. Prior to working at Amazon, she had been at 20th Century Fox, which is where I met her, and the Walt Disney Studios. Candy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jackson. Nice to be here.
Yeah, no, it's great. And now, I remember when I was interviewing at Amazon, they were very strict on those 14 policies. Is it true working for them in the studio side that they're just as strict?
I wouldn't say strict, but it's definitely embedded in the culture and the way people speak, and it's referenced in meetings, and it dictates how, we approach campaigns. So it just naturally becomes a part of you, which I'm waiting for that to happen to me. It hasn't really been developed in my language yet.
Okay. So what is your official title at Amazon? Did I get it right?
So no, it's a creative marketing manager, also known as a CMM, but it's interesting because the word creative at other studios would mean a strictly creative job, but at Amazon, creative marketing managers are strategy and also creative leads. But it's all in flux. There's always reorgs and redefinitions and stuff, so who knows what my title will be next year.
Well, I'm excited to dive deep into it. I'm the gears are already turning where I'm thinking of all these questions to ask you. So I'm really excited. But before we get into that, let's rewind the clock. Are you originally from LA?
No, I'm originally from California, but I grew up in a small farm town in the middle of California, so in between Fresno and Bakersfield.
Okay. Any town I might have heard of?
Probably not. I mean, it's called Corcoran. It's a cotton capital of California. That's about it.
And then when did you move to LA, or was it post-college or?
Oh, I went to UCLA.
Okay.
And so, that was 10 years ago. And then I left to go to grad school in London for a year, and then I moved back to LA. So I've been here for a while.
What did you study in London?
I studied media and communications. I forget because you don't really need a master's in that degree, but I got my degree in media and communications from the London School of Economics.
Still an awesome experience, I'm sure.
It was really fun, and actually that's what having that international experience is kind of what I owe having my international marketing coordinator job at Fox. So going to school in London definitely helped. We get that job.
Get you there. So what inspired you to get into the entertainment industry as a whole?
In undergrad, I had no idea what industry I wanted to be in. I studied communications in undergrad as well, so I knew marketing and or PR was kind of the route I wanted to take. But I feel like up until I was a senior in college, I was like, I'm going to work in fashion because I watched The Devil Wears Prada. But I always loved movies and TV, and I honestly had a very romanticized view of the entertainment industry. And so after I graduated from grad school, I decided that was the main industry that I was going to try to apply for.
And then did you just go right into 20th Century Fox? Did you apply to a bunch of places, or how did you end up there?
Yeah, I remember being in my studio in London and applying to every studio, every job, everything. And I honestly probably applied to 100 places.
Wow.
I swear. And I never heard any, I never heard back from any of them.
Oh,
And so, yeah, I was like, okay, something needs to change here. There's clearly a barrier to entry at these studios or in entertainment.
yep.
And so I reached out to like one of my very first bosses from an internship I had at UCLA. And I was just like, I don't know if you know anyone or who's looking for an assistant or anyone who works at the studios. And he just sent my resume around to his friends and friends that I had never even met. And one of them worked at Fox. He was actually Michael, who was on the promotions team upstairs at Fox.
Oh, yes, Michael
Like,
Masroff.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I never even met Michael before, but he referred me, and then I got a call from Fox saying, we have this international marketing coordinator position. I think you'd be good for. So I didn't even apply to the job.
No way.
He just submitted my resume, and they were looking for an international coordinator at the time, and they said, oh, she went to London, she must be international. And so yeah, it's really like, I hate to say it's about who you know, but in getting your
In
foot in the
that
door,
case,
yeah,
yeah.
it definitely helps.
No way. I had no idea that Michael was the one
Hmm.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, not hilarious, but still like such a cool way to like get, you know, who you know.
Yeah, it was funny. And during my interview, Laura and Dougal were like, "Oh, how do you know Michael?" And I was like, I don't know him. I've never met him before."
He just helped me out.
Yeah, he helped me out.
And so when you started at 20th Century Fox, you were in the international marketing strategy team theatrical,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And who did you work for? John or Dougal?
I worked for Dougal, so it was Dougal
Hmm.
Strachan, and then it was weird because Laura wasn't necessarily strategy; she was like trade and events marketing for
Hmm.
international, but they shared me as a coordinator, so they were both my bosses.
Got it. Okay, okay. And then that's where I met you, which was
Hmm.
awesome. And before we go more into your story, I want you to tell the story of us bumping into, you know, just your average celebrity in the halls of Building 88.
Yes, I think it was like towards the end of the day,
Yeah.
and uh, Carla texted me, Rami Malek is downstairs, go, go, go. And I think I must have shouted it out loud because I was like, Rami
Uh-huh.
Malek's downstairs because you heard me next door and you're like,
Uh-huh.
let's go. And we went downstairs, and I think maybe Kevin told us that he was in the bathroom. And so we awkwardly waited, not directly by the bathroom door, but
Yeah.
10 feet away from the bathroom door. And there was no one else in the hallway, so it was very weird for us to be standing there. And
Yep.
Rami Malek came out, and he was just like, the look on his face, I feel like he definitely knew,
Oh, he
he
knew
knew
for
we were
sure.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just like, hey guys.
Uh,
Yeah. But honestly, that's like my most interesting celebrity story to date. Like I don't really have.
really?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been in Zoom meetings with like The Rock,
Uh-huh.
and crazy people from Disney, but other than that, that's really the one that I can think of. And
Were they
honestly,
like,
when we ran into Bob Iger together, do you
yep,
remember
yep,
that? That was
yes.
like, whoa, that was super, I was super starstruck then, but that was like the only time I can think of when I was like, whoa.
You know, that's what I love about being on the studio lot is like you never know who you're gonna run into.
Hmm. Yeah.
Which, I mean, luckily for our story with Rami, he said hi to us, but normally you're like, oh, look who it is.
Yeah, yeah, like from far away, or they're like with other people. But with Rami, he was just going to the bathroom.
Have a good weekend, guys.
That's funny.
Okay, so let's focus back on track. You make the transition from 20th Century Fox to Disney. Did you keep your same title or the same team, or where did you go from there?
No, because we went through a merge, so that was I was very fortunate through that merge to have been offered promotion to go to Disney. So I went from coordinator to international marketing manager, marketing strategy manager at Disney, and it just happened. I just got lucky, honestly, because at Disney they were looking to fill the role since the previous marketing manager was bumped up, and the international team there is so tiny. I mean, I guess it was at Fox as well. So there was a space to fill, and I was the only like international marketing strategy coordinator at Fox. So it was a natural transition for me.
I mean, also your hard work and dedication. You
That too.
can't say,
Yeah, sure.
it
Yeah.
just was chance. Like you were hardworking and you did your work. But I will say, I do remember like you and I were the only two people
Yeah.
out of that whole merger that walked away with a promotion going into Disney, and I was just like, man, this is crazy because like
Yeah.
everybody was getting fired left and right.
I know. Yeah, that's I forget about that, but that was definitely like something I was conscious of while I was at Disney, that you and I
Hmm.
got promoted, but a lot of people got demoted, at least title wise,
Yes,
and I think eventually pay wise, and so, it's we lucked out for sure. We were the lucky ones.
seriously. I mean, you lucked out more because you were able to stick around longer than I was, but still, did so you worked for Disney for how long?
Like 3 years, which is crazy,
Wow.
crazy, crazy. Yeah. Hmm.
And that was through the pandemic, out of the pandemic, and then like what happened were you when you're getting to the end of your time at Disney, were you kind of seeing that there wasn't room for promotion, or you're kind of done learning things, or what? Walk me through the end of your time at Disney.
Yeah, yeah. I think because of what we went through with the merger, with the Disney Fox merger, and also because of the pandemic, where I was furloughed, like I was one of the people furloughed for 3 months at Disney at the start of the pandemic, I kind of knew I had to always have one eye open for new opportunities.
Yep.
Um, and I also, I knew with my team and the international marketing team that I felt like my promotion in this specific team, it was dependent on my boss getting promoted. Um, uh, because she was one level above me, and she wasn't going to advocate for me to
Yep,
to like
totally. To be
be
on
on the
her
same level
level.
as her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then also, yeah, in that job, it's so specific, like international marketing strategy. It's really just kind of babysitting the markets, is how I felt. The markets were really doing the work. I had no idea how to really launch a marketing campaign for a film or TV show in that role, because I was working internationally and just kind of helping the markets in launching their campaigns and not really doing the work themselves. I wasn't writing the strategy myself. I was just kind of tweaking them, taking the domestic strategy and tweaking it for international. So I just felt like I wasn't growing. I was doing the same thing for a number of years. I was working on a lot of decks. Like that was pretty much a lot of my job, was working on decks. And it was to the point where during the pandemic, especially when I was like furloughed and I was looking at other jobs, I felt underqualified for a lot of the jobs that I was seeing at other studios, particularly like streaming companies too. I felt super underqualified. Um, yeah, so I was trying for a while. Honestly, I was looking for a while for jobs and wasn't getting any bites. Um, and I was lucky to have, I don't know, got my foot in the door with an interview at Amazon, and I was very candid about like my experience at Disney, and it seemed like a lot of people who come to Amazon come from totally different backgrounds. Some not in the film industry at all, some of them from products and fashion and things like that. And they valued my like theatrical experience. They valued my experience working on really big IP, and that was enough to get me the job.
That's awesome. And then, so what, like, when now you're at Amazon, what are you working on? You want working on series, films? What are you kind of doing?
Yeah, I'm like doing the exact opposite of what I did at Fox for sure, but also at Disney.
Uh-huh.
At the time that I applied to Amazon, they were kind of broken up by genres. So
Hmm.
they were giving me options on what genres I wanted to work on. They asked me to rank like my top three. And when I applied and when I was interviewing, I ranked drama and comedy as my top. I didn't want to do like action or superhero because I,
Yep.
came from working at Disney,
Yep.
and working on family films and things like that. But then as I applied, I interviewed with a couple of people who worked in unscripted. So people who worked on the reality TV shows and documentaries, and I really liked them, and I realized that what I watch are reality shows and unscripted content. I love like true
Yep.
crime and things like that. So I decided to go on this team of unscripted. So it could not be any more different than like working. I always say I worked on Pixar and Marvel, and now I'm working on mostly reality TV and docuseries. So I don't think I currently have any films on my slate. Not at the moment. I don't have any films on my slate, so it's all streaming series.
Nice. What are some of the what are some of the titles that you've worked on in the past?
At Amazon,
Hmm.
honestly, like I've been shadowing up until this point. There was just the Academy of Country Music Awards that just happened this past
Nice.
Thursday. So that's like a one-off live award show. So totally like so new. That was streaming on Prime Video.
Cool.
So I was one of the CMMs on that. And then for my own titles that I'm leading, I'm working on an upcoming bull riding docu-series.
Ooh, cool. Similar to like the
About
Formula One or golf kind of things.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We hope to be like the Formula One show Drive to Survive on Netflix.
Nice.
But yes, so I work on a bull riding docu-series and a twin dating show. That's like from the producers of Love Island. So it's basically
Ah.
like Love Island, but all identical twins.
Where all
So
the identical twins are like meeting each other kind of thing.
yes, so there are all identical twin casts, and they get separated. So you have two homes with essentially identical casts. So the
Mm-hmm.
siblings get separated, and connections are made. Sometimes the same connections are made where siblings are dating
Interesting.
the siblings. So yeah, it's
Interesting.
really fun.
What's the title on that?
It's called Twin Love,
Twin Love. Okay, I'll have to
coming out
remember
in
that.
August. Yeah,
Okay, I'll have to remember that and watch it.
yeah, it's
So
fun.
what does like your day-to-day kind of look like at Amazon?
My day to day.
Like, are you writing, strategy, marketing plans
Yeah.
or creative? Like, what does it kind of look like?
Yeah, so I write a lot of strategy briefs or campaign briefs.
Hmm.
Um, Not so much like I find it's very different than how I wrote strategy or how we had strategy briefs at Disney.
Hmm.
It's more like boiling it down to the hooks of the show. Like, what do we think are the real selling points of the show? Who do we think the audience is? Which is also very different. I feel like at Disney, the audience was always four quadrant. Everyone.
Yep.
We're tracking everyone, all ages.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the case, especially on the titles that I work with. I'm working on bull riding. I'm working on dating shows. There's very specific audiences. So that has been really interesting, and I feel like really good learning experience for me to work on very niche type of projects. Also, my titles are super, super, super low budget in terms of marketing campaigns, so it's very different than working with seemingly unlimited budgets
Unlimited
at
budget.
Disney.
Hmm.
Yeah. So my job at Amazon is like extremely more hands-on. I feel like at Disney there were, on the strategy team, there's a whole ladder of people who work on strategy for just one title, from, assistant all the way up to VP, SVP,
Yep.
for one title. And at Disney, or I'm sorry, at Amazon, it's just me, right? Like I don't have anyone under me.
Wow.
I have a boss who oversees the whole genre, but that's it. And so it's really all on me to write the strategy, present the strategy, get buy-in from the filmmakers, and also work on the creative. So I'm also the one briefing creative agencies all the time, sending feedback on all of the posters and
Oh,
trailers.
yeah.
Yeah. So
And then
it's
are you
all
selling
on me.
it or does that go to a different team?
Selling it. What do you mean? Do you mean for
Uh,
promotions?
or yeah, like ad space or not ad space, but what's the word? where like the time blocks where you're selling I don't know what it's called.
That's a different team. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
there's like an ad sales team for that. Luckily I don't
Okay.
have to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
hmm
Yes. Ad sales, duh, obviously.
hmm
Um, and then, so what was I going to ask? So you put all these campaigns together, and then does it just kind of funnel down a pipeline, and you're like the very beginning of that pipeline of creating
Mm.
the ad?
Um, yeah, I think I would say so. There's a interesting role at Amazon that I've never seen at any other studio called campaign managers. And I work in tandem with my campaign manager. So for every title, I have kind of like a partner. And the way I liken it to is that my role as a creative marketing manager is like the director of a film, and the campaign managers are like the producers. So the campaign managers are in charge of making sure our budgets are all good. They basically tell me how much money we have. With agencies, they tell me, okay, we only have this many rounds left with them, or else we're going to incur additional costs. And they're also in charge of delivering assets to all the teams that need it. So I guess I would say that I do start with the creation of it. I get it created, look how I want, and then that my campaign managers are the ones that kind of make sure all the teams that need those assets have it and are delivering it, and the timeline that we need it. So it's interesting. It's a very interesting role. It's I've never seen that. I feel like at Disney or other strategy teams at studios, it's almost a combination of both. But at Amazon, my role is more creative than it would be at another studio.
What a cool experience to like not only be, just writing marketing strategy plans and filmmaker decks and presentations and stuff, but you're actually the one that is curating that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm super thankful. I'm just here to 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 learn and get experience that I had never had at Fox or Disney.
So today in age, we talk about streaming versus theatrical release, and where where do you feel like the future is going? Is everything going to end up in streaming, or is there still a path for films to be super successful theatrically? What are your thoughts on all that?
I think there are definitely cases that we've seen recently of blockbusters that still do really well theatrically. Also, I see sometimes on comments of films that are releasing on streaming. People are complaining, why is this on streaming? Why isn't this in theaters? I want to see this in theaters. There's still definitely a market for theatrical films and theatrical releases. I just think that the pandemic and the push towards streaming has obviously shortened the window of how long a film runs in theaters, but I think has also slightly shrunk the audience, because I think streaming is so immediate now that a lot of people are, just being smart and saying, I don't want to spend money, and when I could just wait a month and watch it from home. So it depends on. There's still definitely a market for it, and I think that it will still be around. I hope it will still be around. I think it's a bit difficult to say, because I work in a vacuum of people. I work in the entertainment industry, and people love movies. They love going to the movies. They love getting popcorn. They love the whole experience. So I can't speak for like the general public. But there's still definitely a community of people who will go to the theaters rather than stay at home.
Well, especially in LA, I think, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of miss, living over in Europe. I miss going to a theater and audiences being so engaged in that film with the cheering and, all that
Yeah.
aspect to it, where I feel like I've gone to a few movies here over, in different countries, and it's kind of like you kind of go in, you sit down, you watch the movie, and you go home. Like there's no connection to it, which I was like, maybe that's an LA thing.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. It might be an American thing. I think I saw
True.
on TikTok the Beyonce concert in Sweden.
Mm.
and like everyone was just sitting down. And like people are like, why is everyone just sitting down? Like they're so polite. The audience is
No
just
one's
like not
freaking out.
engaged. No one's
Uh-huh.
like dancing or up and stuff. Everyone was just
Uh-huh.
like quietly sitting down and watching.
That's so cool. I'll have to go look into that.
Mhm.
Um, so to you, what are some of like the best parts about working in the industry?
I think especially for a marketer, in my opinion, I can't think of a cooler product to market than a show or a
Totally.
film, to be honest. Especially in working on things like at Disney, it's never passed to me how like that brand is so just deep rooted in people's childhoods, people's identities.
Totally.
It makes such an impact on people's culture, and I think that's amazing to work on a product that touches like people's lives really, and is providing entertainment for people and makes people, it's a topic of interest for people, when they go to dinner with friends. Have you seen this show? Have you watched this movie? It's cool to be part of an industry where that people consume so widely.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think the moment that really impacted me the most, because we all grew up watching movies and Disney movies and stuff like that, but I was at a premiere for something in Hollywood and sitting in the Ghirardellis talking to one of the employees about their little Disney pins that they had, and they're like, "Oh yeah, people will sleep overnight and come wait in line when they hear we have a release of a pin." And I'm just like, I would never do something like that. Like these people are so passionate and love the merchandise so much that the lengths that they're willing to go to make sure they can get some of it.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's Disney is like I remember everywhere I walked, I would see something related to Disney, in the most random places, and yeah, it's amazing to have been part of a company like that.
I mean, you even see it over here. People wear Mickey Mouse
Mm,
shirts and stuff like that, and you wouldn't even think that it's as beloved here as it is over there.
yeah, yeah, it's amazing.
But I mean, there's always a rainy day, even in sunny Southern California. So, like, what are for you some of the biggest struggles of being in the entertainment industry?
I think it's particularly me being on the marketing side. I think the priority is always making filmmakers happy, filmmakers and
Mm,
talent happy, to where it can stifle the creativity on the marketing side, because I feel like my job is just making the Hollywood elites happy, um, and even the studio heads happy, which is fine. And then also, it's not as glamorous as you think it is all the time. It's especially when you're just starting out. The pay is not amazing,
true.
um, depending on where you are, obviously, or depending what company you work for. But traditionally, it's not great, and your work life balance is not great.
Yeah, I definitely remember those days of driving home at like 2 a.m. from Disney being just like wiped out, exhausted.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
sucks.
that's why you do it.
Yeah, that's why you do it. You're making magic, and
Exactly.
it's a job that so many people would want to have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you have
Well,
to love it.
everybody's looking for their way in. Just like you said earlier in the episode, you were like, I applied to everything, and no one, like, everybody's applying to everything, and everyone's wanting to get in. And it's like, if you're able to get in, like, you have to take advantage of that, or they'll just find
Yeah.
somebody else that will do it for you.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
And so, did you ever have like any mentors or role models that have been helping you through your career?
I don't think so. I mean, like I love my past bosses, and I always they were all amazing, and that they would ask me like, what do you want? How can I help you? And also like I said, I got my start in the industry because I reached out to a previous boss of mine,
Yep.
and at my very first boss in college of mine, and he was kind enough to send my resume around. So I wouldn't say that I have a mentor. I probably should, but
I think you're doing
but
all right.
yeah, yeah. But I've been super fortunate to have bosses that are like my friends, honestly.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so I think that's one of the most important things, especially in this industry, is to um, prioritize having a boss or a leader who you feel comfortable with and who feel like will help you, not help you, but look out for you, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's I think even more important than pay is to make sure you vibe with your boss. And that's how at Amazon, why I switched gears and wanting to work for other genres. I just really vibed well with the head of unscripted there, and I felt like he would be a really great boss, and I felt like we would get along really well. And that was like my decision on why I chose to join that team. So
That's amazing.
not mentors, but boss friends. I
Great
have a number of those.
influences.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so this question kind of goes for anybody who's watching that is applying to those hundreds of jobs. I think you might have touched on this, but I want to ask it anyway. What advice do you have for those who are just starting out their career and not, in wanting to get into entertainment, but don't know how to get in?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you know in college that you want to, that this is something or a industry you want to get into, then I highly recommend getting internships
Nice.
in anything related to entertainment, because that certainly helps. And I think it's easier at the internship level to get your foot in the door. And when you have those internships, then, like get making friends with your boss and keeping in touch with your boss, I think is really important. But if you are out of college, you didn't have any prior internships in the space, then yeah, ask your friends if they have if they know anyone looking for a position in the entertainment industry. I think is the easiest way to get in. Otherwise, you are, one of hundreds and hundreds of resumes at very popular studios and very popular companies. I will say I was fortunate at Amazon where I didn't have a referral. I did just apply and I heard back the very next day. I don't know
Wow.
how that happened, but
You probably have a strong resume.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't know. It didn't work like, any time before that, but I just got super lucky.
Right place, right time kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think it would definitely be a miss if I didn't bring up your TikTok and, what you're doing over there. Did that come about during COVID or, walk me through, how you came about that?
Yeah, so I'm primarily vegan. I'm like, loose vegan. I eat eggs, and I also, if there's a birthday, I'll have a slice of birthday cake. um, but I've been vegan for a while, like since 2017, 2016. And I always loved making recipes. And I always wanted to have a food blog of some sort, but I was always
Nice.
too scared to do it. I would even like buy cute plates and things that I know would be nice in photos, but like for years, and I would never have the courage to actually make a blog. And then honestly, it was the pandemic, and honestly, getting furloughed at Disney
Yep.
during the first part of the pandemic that pushed me to learn WordPress, learn how to make a website, and the pandemic was the perfect time to do that because the industry was so slow. The entertainment industry was so slow, so there
Seriously.
wasn't a lot to do. I think it's funny when I think about like what did we actually do during 2020 when we didn't release anything. Um, so it gave me a lot of room to learn how to take food photos and learn how to make recipes and learn how to create content around that. But then, I haven't posted on my website in a while. And I found that TikTok was a place where I was mostly looking for recipes. I was no longer Googling for vegan recipes. I was looking
Really?
them up on TikTok. Yep. And it's so much easier to just pull out your phone rather than a big camera and like write out a recipe.
Yep.
And yeah, so I decided to start making TikToks instead of posting on a website. And it didn't really take off until I had a super viral video last year on savory oatmeal. And yeah, I've been a little bit more consistent with it. And I've seen a lot of followers. Like this year alone, I've had like a number of videos get over 1 million views.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
yeah, which is like crazy. Like I would have never thought in the beginning. In the beginning, when you're only getting 50 views, 100
Uh-huh.
views, you would never think that you'd get to the point. But it's really about like staying consistent and finding like a lane of recipes that you do really well. And yeah, I wouldn't consider myself I'm not consistently getting 1 million views. I'm not consistently getting
But
viral
still,
videos, but some of them pop off every once in a while.
where you're just like, oh, interesting. That's the recipe that, everybody wants to watch.
Exactly, exactly.
What's your handle for those watching that want to look you up?
Oh, at Cook with Candy, at Cook with Candy.
Andy. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've really enjoyed it. It's so good to see you. I feel like I haven't talked to you since those good old days sitting at Disney before pre-pandemic.
Yeah, I know. You're sitting next to me in the room, and then at Fox, you were at the
Yeah. Building
you were next to
88.
me.
Those are great
Building
memories.
88. Mm-hmm.
Well, for everybody watching at home, not reminiscing with us, please, if you haven't taken the time, subscribe to our YouTube channel and any episodes on the podcast that you like. And leave a comment below if you have any thoughts or questions for Candy in specific. So thank you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.